In 1992, a ship was sailing peacefully through the Pacific Ocean direction to Hong Kong, when suddenly a storm arrived. Because of the storm, the ship started moving from one side to another, and therefore the situation was really dangerous. Inevitably, a container with 29,000 yellow little ducklings fell into the sea. In 2004, some of these toys were still being found all over the world. This curious case perfectly exemplifies how impactful are containers in the sea.
It is an incontestable reality that the shipping industry is increasingly becoming more important in global trade. Containers are the most effective option to carry through a safe, efficient, and affordable maritime transportation, so it is not surprising that its use has helped global trade to develop and still does it to this day. Containers play an essential role in the shipping industry for various reasons. Firstly, their hermetic and resistant structure assures that the transported goods will be safe from various possible dangers, from climatology to human threat. The second factor that must be considered is the versatility the containers offer, as almost every material good can be transported inside them, for a very affordable price. And lastly, due to their long utile life, as containers can be reused many different times without the transported goods being damaged, as it happens with other transport structures.
First of all, I want you to imagine a container under the sea. Just imagine the container and forget what is inside. Just that has an enormous environmental impact. Some animals confuse the container with a rock. As a result, living there without being aware of the toxicity that the exterior painting has. Now, imagine a floating container full of water. It sinks and it breaks. So everything inside it is dispersed through the sea. Maybe plastic that will be eaten by animals, or even batteries, insecticides, or chemical substances.
I need you to know that the containers also have a human impact. Imagine again a semi-sunk container. You're a captain and you can't appreciate it in the middle of the sea. So your yacht crashes with it. Sometimes it's just a little accident, but in other cases it can end with some human lives. Now imagine a mollusk surrounded by the toxic seawater. Probably the animal will absorb these toxic substances and finally you will eat it. Eating these mollusks will have negative effects in your health.
But nowadays, it seems that the society is just aware of the economic impact. When a firm loses its goods because of a sunk container, the firm is also losing its money. For prevent this situation, the technology has been used to predict where are the lost containers and its contents. That makes us see that we are living in a reality based on a capitalistic point of view.
When talking about the consequences of these containers falling into sea depths, we could blame the capitalist conception of economy that induces companies to suck money without limits, no matter the means needed. This Machiavellian functioning that most companies have ends up with abusive techniques to reduce the cost of production and distribution of products. All this negligent behavior is possible thanks to flags of convenience, which are flags used by companies to slip out the boundaries of law. As ships have to follow rules of their flag's country, flags of convenience allow companies to employ cheap labor force, employ less workers per ship than the minimum in their origin countries, spend less in the maintenance of the ship, and when in high seas, avoid the responsibility of whatever happens to those cargoes, as the flag state is responsible for that particular ship. Taking into account that 60% of shipping accidents are due to human error, it goes without saying that a small crew doesn't help to prevent shipping accidents from happening. A small crew means less sleeping hours for workers, which increases tiredness and gives room to more mistakes that could risk the safety of the ship. This, added to the fact that most ships are not properly maintained, concludes in an approximate amount of 2,000 containers per year lost to the waves.
Clearly, the lack of effective regulation is contributing to the spreading of this issue. The International Maritime Organization is the organ of the United Nations that is responsible for the safety and security of shipping and the prevention of marine and atmospheric pollution. Its role is to create a level international playing field to assure the efficacy and the fairness of the shipping industry. If every nation formulated its own legislation in security business, it would probably result in some countries imposing security rules with very strict criteria, whereas others being extremely permissive. Every issue concerning containers is regulated by the IMO, particularly by two of its committees, the Maritime Safe Committee and the Subcommittee on Carriage of Cargoes and Containers. The convention that initiated the regulation of containers was the International Convention for Safe Containers in 1972. Some amendments were introduced in 2014. Moreover, the parameters of weight and measurements of the containers are currently regulated by the International Convention for the Safety of Life at the Sea. Through this treaty, the IMO is able to prove that the container's weight is verified and controlled so the exportation can be done legally. Furthermore, the containers are fabricated according to the International Organization for Standardization regulations. However, the bad distribution of containers, the lack of workers and maintenance, the increasing tendency of not declaring the totality of transported goods, the lack of regulation concerning the maximum and the minimum weight of containers, and many other issues prove this regulation isn't enough, and that the severe systematization of this problem is probably the needed solution. Keeping in mind that capitalism is the main cause of this issue, we can easily relate this problem to Wallerstein's world system approach and Taylor's vertical division of the world. Regarding Wallerstein's theory, shipping companies would be at the core, as well as the regulating institutions, controlling the other sectors. The countries involved in flags of convenience would be at the semi-periphery, achieving a growing participation. And finally, the countries that provide labor force for cargo ships would be at the periphery. Following Taylor's division, we can conclude that the capitalist ideology is what controls our reality, a reality where the shipping industry rules the distribution of products, as almost every material good is moved around the globe through containers, which is a badly regulated process that currently has significant environmental, animal, human, and economic consequences.